This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. See, let's see whatever we have discussed yesterday, and we'll summarize that first. Okay, and then we'll go to the agenda for today. See, yesterday, what did we discuss exactly? What are APIs? What are web services? Again, REST and SOAP, the difference between them. And we have seen the HTTP request structure. How request structure will be, HTTP request structure will be converted into mule event, right? Exactly. And we have seen a demonstration in the debug mode, exactly, like how the request structure is getting converted into mule event, exactly. We have seen the entire structure, like even the help of error also, like we raise the error and then we have seen the error object also, exactly. Okay, that is fine. Now, yesterday itself, we wanted to discuss this flows and even what to say, the difference between them and flow reference component, exactly, but we were unable to cover yesterday. Today we'll cover. See, but why we are covering all these things, despite already you might have learned all these things, exactly, but these are all very very important and it is connected to the project, exactly. Whenever you are trying to implement, okay, these basics are very very necessary. That is the reason we are covering these, and we'll just a brush up kind of thing for you, and then we'll be going to the next later point of sessions, exactly. Okay. Now, see, how is it? Yesterday we have discussed APIs, web service, REST, SOAP, request structure, and mule event structure. How is it related to our project exactly? How is it related? It is related. Honestly speaking, it is very much related. The reason being, see, whenever you wanted to communicate exactly, what is the communicate? Not only communication. Whenever you wanted to develop a project, what are the things required? Obviously, most of our projects will be on REST, exactly. That's why we have learned REST. What is REST? For example, this API is the transaction API. What is this transaction API? Transaction API is a REST service only, right? We are developing it as a REST service. That is the reason we are learning the REST, exactly. Okay. And it is a web service, obviously. Okay. For example, like this coupon API, this is a REST service. Again, this is a REST service. This may be again an integration kind of thing, exactly. Okay, integration means, again I told, right, there is a source system, there is a target system. We are not exposing our service as a API. We are integrating both of those systems, exactly. Okay. Now, because of that reason, we always wanted to, whatever is required for the project, we'll discuss all those things exactly, and then we'll go to the actual project implementation. Okay. Already, till now we have seen like how many APIs will be there, how many resources will be there, what are the source systems, what are the target systems, exactly. Okay. Fine. Now, okay, we have seen all these, right, yesterday. Okay. Now what I will try to do, and we have seen the what are query params and what are URI params also as part of it. Actually, that is also very very important. As soon as you remember HTTP request, what are the things you need to cover? URL, okay, the method, protocol, the body. Okay, as soon as you wanted to consume some other service, these are all the service, these are all the things which you require. Okay, if a team leader or project manager comes in picture and he asks you like you want to consume some REST services, what are the details you require? Okay, these are all the details you require: host, port, path, everything. Okay, query params, URI params, all these things. And we have seen the HTTP response codes also. Okay, if there are no questions, we'll proceed further. If there are any questions, we'll take up that and then we'll go. Any questions? Yeah, offline people don't have any questions. Online, actually, any questions? Okay. Okay, if there is a silence, we'll take that as no questions and then we'll go ahead. See, today we'll discuss like what are the types of flows available. Everyone knows like we have flow, private flow, and subflow. Flow is called as main flow or public flow. It can be called as main flow or public flow also, exactly. And we'll see what is main flow exactly, what are the features of it, what is private flow, what are the features of it, and what is subflow and what are the features of it exactly, when to use that. Why do you wanted to go for different flow types also? We'll see what is the reason behind it exactly. Okay, now, and we have a component called flow reference component also. Okay, we'll discuss that also, like what is the flow, what is the importance of flow reference component, and how the variables or the attributes or payload will propagate through flow reference component and get the response exactly. Okay, see, flow reference is nothing but what are you doing? You are sending some request or some mule event to that, and you are communicating to the other flow and then getting the response from the other flow only, right? The same way, basically. Okay, we'll see that also. And we wanted to see the differences between main flow, subflow, and private flow. Why do you want to see these kind of things exactly? Again, if you go to the project, always you try to implement flows, subflows, and private flows only, right? Okay, yesterday we have seen the outer picture, how the request looks, or some part of the internal picture also. But now we wanted to understand the internal ecosystem of the MuleSoft exactly, like how does a flow looks, how does a private flow, and when to use this exactly. Okay, all this will be taken care, because every project will consist of flows only, right? Okay, we should know. That is the reason I'm covering this particular part. Okay, I don't think that actually Mahesh told project explanation and he's telling all MuleSoft fundamentals for us exactly. Okay, these are all the things which are very much required as a MuleSoft developer. There are so many developers whom I know who are working for the last 3 to 4 years or 5 years also. They don't know the difference between these exactly. Okay, that's the reason I just wanted to cover. Okay, then actually what happens is whenever you are sending some mule event through flow reference, right, there is a difference between whenever you are communicating with a subflow, communicating with a private flow, from communicating from a public flow to a public flow. There is a difference exactly. That is the point where we will be discussing the scope of payload attributes and variables in flows. Got it? Just a second. I always use red because like it will be clearly visible. Okay, yeah, got it, right? Not a violent guy, very soft guy. Red is for violence, right? Generally. Now, see this particular point, right? The scope. What I told you, how does the mule event will propagate from one flow to another flow? What happens? Whether there will be any changes or not, all those things can be discussed here. And then we will see the question and answers. Now, see, obviously, I told you whenever there is a project, for example, this is the API we wanted to develop. Okay, this is the API, this is the API, these are all APIs, right? The API will consist of what? API means project only, right? Mule application or project. What does it consist of? It consists of configuration XML files generally, right? Configuration XML files consist of flows most of the time, right? Okay, that is the reason we wanted to discuss the topic of flows, subflows, and private flows exactly. Okay, right. Now, see, this is the mule application or mule project. One mule application. One mule application can consist of how many configuration XML files? So many. Yes or no? It will consist of so many files. For example, like if you observe for global, for error handling, in the best practices, right? We'll and implementation, so many XML files can be there. But again, see, it means that one mule application will consist of how many configuration XML files? Can be many, n number of flows. And one configuration XML file can have n number of flows or subflows or private flows. Got it? That is the reason I have mentioned here. See, this is a mule application project. In that, we can have n number of configuration files, and that we can have n number of mule flows. Okay, what is a flow? Mule components. Okay, what does it do exactly? It is done for a certain purpose, right? Exactly. What is the purpose? This is the purpose: orchestration, transformation, and enrichment. Okay, What is the meaning of transformation? Yesterday we discussed orchestration, right? What is the meaning of transformation? For example, like I received JSON payload, I wanted to convert into XML payload. That is known as obviously the transformation. What is the meaning of enrichment? Okay, for example, I received a first name, I received a last name. I wanted to concatenate that exactly. Now you are enriching the details, right? Okay, then it is known as enrichment exactly. See, enrichment and transformations are done with the help of transform message or set payload or set variable only. Okay, again, don't get confused exactly. Okay, see, now we are very clear. Mule application or project will consist of configuration XML files, and configuration XML files will consist of flows, private flows, and subflows exactly. Okay, right. Next, see, whenever they call it as a flow or a private flow, main flow or public flow, it is a same only. Okay, whenever you wanted to call subflow or private flow, you will use separate terminology, private flow or subflow. But whenever you wanted to call main flow, right, main flow, flow or public flow. Okay, right, main flow or public. Okay, now see, what is that? Main flow is a message processing block. What is that? Message processing block. Okay, it has a block. Okay, that processing part is there, right, which has its own processing and exception handling. Okay, processing strategy is there, plus exception handling is there. Okay, now the flow is typically used for connecting application exactly. Okay, and this has source, process, and error handling. Okay, it's very clear. See, for example, source, process, error handling. See, as soon as you have source, whether you will be able to connect, you can expose your API as a REST API or some other service exactly. Okay, source is there. It means that it can listen to the request and then it will process the request and give the response back exactly. For example, if there is no source, can you listen to the request? No, why? Because it is not exposed as a service exactly. Okay, that is the reason. Obviously, whatever service you are developing and you wanted to expose that service as an API, you need to have the source part configured. And most of the time we develop REST APIs. Because of that reason, we always see HTTP listener. Okay, that is the reason I focused yesterday more on HTTP listener part, which are very critical and important. Got it, right? And the same way for requester also, because we consume HTTP request services, right? For that reason, even HTTP request also will focus more, because most of the time we'll try to consume other REST services also. For example, like other REST services means what? From experience API, process API we are consuming, right? Already process API, system API, right? Otherwise, from our system API, another REST service of third party or somewhere, that also possible. Means what does it mean? Always you should be very strong in consuming the REST services exactly. If consuming REST service is possible through HTTP requester, right? That's why we need to have more stronghold on HTTP requester also. Listener and requester, you need to have stronghold exactly. Okay, right. Next, now subflow. Again, subflow is also a message processing block that is similar to of that flow, but with some limitations I told. Right, with some limitation. What is that? Subflow does not have source. Okay, subflow does not have error handling. Okay, subflow inherits processing and error handling strategies from the main flow, from the calling flow, not only main flow exactly, from the calling flow basically. Whenever okay, whatever the processing strategy is defined for the calling flow, the same processing strategy and error handling strategy will be taken here. Okay, now one more point you wanted to know. See, when you build the applications, you have a subflow and you have taken it from another flow, you have called that and you build the application. What happens is, flow reference component that called a subflow, it will be replaced by the content of that flow. See, what does it mean? It is as same as you develop that code in that flow reference component only. Did you understand this or you want? See, you don't have any thing, right? Exactly. It will, some other flow is calling it actually. Now, whatever is the processing strategy or error handling strategy will be followed by this exactly. For example, there may be an interview question. How do you handle error in a subflow? Can you handle it? If I wanted to handle errors in subflow, error handling, how do you handle? No, that will be applicable. What happens? The error will be raised and it will go to the main flow or the calling flow, and then error will be handled. No, I wanted to handle error in subflow only. Not tools exactly. See what I can do. I can use the help. I can take the help of try block, right? Right? Okay. This may be a tricky question in the interview. Like for example, like if I am the interviewer, right? I may ask like, how do you handle errors in subflow? Okay. Now what I can do? I can put the try inside the subflow, and I can put the components. I can define the error handling if required. Can you do that? Exactly. Okay. That is one thing which you wanted to understand. See, if someone asks you like, can you handle errors in subflow? Yes, we can do that, but we need to use the try scope. Okay. Got it right? Now, what is a private flow? Again, private flow is also a message processing block that has its own processing and error handling strategy. Okay. But the flow has process, okay, but no source. See, what is that? We have a processing, error handling, and no source. See, does we have an option to create a private flow separately in the Anypoint Studio? No. Do we have the option for creating a main flow? We can. Do we have option for creating a subflow? Okay. Flow and subflow has options to create directly. In the scope section, you'll have it. You can drag and drop it. Otherwise, if you drag and drop some component, main flow will be created exactly. Okay. Whenever you wanted to create a subflow, you need to drag it and drag and drop it from the scope section exactly. But how do you create private flow? If you don't mention the source and if you mention the error handling and processing, that is known as private flow exactly. Got it right? See, what does it mean exactly? If it doesn't have source, what does it mean? Whether we'll be able to call it from the outside world? Only inside the project it will be helpful for the communication. Yes or no? It's very clear, right? It cannot be exposed as an API. Private flow cannot be exposed as an API, and you will not be able to communicate establish the communication between other system to our system. But you will be able to communicate within the project. Or within the project means what? Our API. Okay. Project means not the overall project. Only within our application. Got it right? Any questions so far? Any questions? Okay. Yeah. Fine. Now, see, we'll see the flow reference component exactly like. See, whenever we wanted to communicate within the Sorry. Whenever we wanted to communicate from one flow to another flow, what we will try to use? Flow reference component. Okay, flow reference will act as a synchronous one or a asynchronous one? What is synchronous exactly? Hmm? Blocking
Say step
process. Okay, what
step by
happens?
step.
Step by step. See, for example, like there is a mule flow.
One after another.
Yeah, here source is there, we receive the request, this is a process, and these are the components, for example. Okay, now there is another flow. Okay, okay, maybe this is a private flow, for example. Okay, this is a main flow, and we have request. We received the request. Okay, now the source will convert the request to our mule event, and it will come here. For example, like this is flow reference component. I am calling this particular flow. Okay, this particular flow also has source. Okay, both are main flows only. Huh? No, source is available. I'm asking you a question here. Okay, see, this particular flow, main flow has, so okay, I mentioned private flow right here. I'll not I'll take off this. Okay, I mentioned the source also. Now I wanted to call with the help of flow reference the second flow. Okay, this is, I'll call it as flow 1, this is called as flow 2, for example. Now my request from flow reference, where it will go, whether it will go to the listener part or the first component part. Why? Because the names are already listener is there, directly to go to component only. Okay, whenever the request is sent from with the help of flow reference component, what happens is it will go to the first component of the processing block. Okay, because it is for the internal communication purpose, right? There is no point in again already mule event is available. Okay, for that reason there is no point in converting the what to say, ununderstanding message is not there. It is already understandable message is there, that is mule event. Exactly, because of that reason it will always go to the first component of the processing block of the next flow. Okay, it will not go here even if it is a main flow also. Okay, but whenever you call it from outside, it will come to the listener first and then only come to the first component of the processor. Okay, got it, right? Now what happens, see, the request came here and the first message is processed, or the first block processed the message, and then it came to the second block. See, this particular message or this particular block flow reference component will wait for the response from this particular flow 2. That is known as synchronous. If it doesn't wait, then asynchronous processing. Exactly. Fire and forget. Fire the request and forget about the response. Got it, right? Now what happens, now the request here also, it will be processed within these three components. Now this particular response will be received here. Okay, with will receive here, and then from here it will go here, again it will go here. Now source, response, right? Got it? This process is known as synchronous process. For example, now my question is exactly what do I can call this flow? Can I call this as calling flow? Can I call this as
Yes.
calling flow? Why? Why? I'm calling another flow. That's the reason we can call it as calling flow. Okay. Can I call it as parent flow? Okay. The
Yes.
reason being, See, whenever there is a terminology called used parent flow or calling flow, what does it mean? It is the flow which is calling another flow, basically. Okay, these terminologies will be widely used, exactly. Okay, calling flow or parent flow, especially in certifications, right? They'll be using parent flow uh, terminology, exactly. Okay, you should understand. Again, that don't get confused. See, parent flow will be only main flow or what? No, whenever you are calling from one flow to another flow, whether it is public flow to public flow, public to private flow, any flow, the calling flow is known as parent flow. Is that clear? Okay, now what do I call as flow 2? We can call it as reference to flow. Reference
Child
to flow.
flow, child flow also.
I'll come to that point. Yeah, reference flow, right? Why? It is being referred in some other flow. Okay, now we can call that as a child flow also. See, for example, there is another, this is another flow reference. Okay, I am calling another flow, subflow, for example. In this case, what is child flow? What is parent flow? This is child flow. This is parent flow for this particular scenario. Okay, right? Is that clear? Okay. Now I have told you flow reference has been used, and we have followed the synchronous communication. Okay. Synchronous means you have seen, right? We have seen synchronous also. See, synchronous, parent flow, child flow. Now I want to tell you about the asynchronous also. Exactly. See, for example, I'll take another slide. Source. See, why we need all these things, right? Most of the time our project will revolve around all these topics, exactly. Okay, synchronous, asynchronous, parent flow, child flow. Okay, HTTP, REST services, web services. Okay, all this terminology will be revolving every day. Every day, as soon as you start your project, it will be the case, exactly. Okay, now again we have, okay, 4 components. Now, for example, this is the flow, not flow reference component. This is JMS publish. What is JMS publish? Okay, messaging service. We are using, for example, ActiveMQ. Okay, now here the source is there, the request has come, and the mule event has been generated, and then it came here. Okay, it came here. See, JMS is a asynchronous component, exactly. Okay, for asynchronous, what happens exactly? Now it will send the request to this queue. Okay, some messaging server. Okay, messaging server, queue or topic, whatever it is, and then simultaneously the mule event will be passed to the next component also. It will not wait for the response. Okay, is that clear? And then this will be processed. Here response will be sent back. What about the request sent to publish, exactly? What happened? We find the request and we should forget about the response. You will not receive the response. It will execute the process. That's it. You will not be knowing it. Okay, you are firing the request and you have to forget about the response. But in synchronous, find the request, wait for the response. Got it? This particular word also will be used, fire and forget, for asynchronous especially. Okay. Now, what will happen? You find the request to queue. You publish the message to queue. What will happen? It will be in the queue, right? But see, if it is some other system consuming that particular message, that is fine. But the requirement is our service itself again has to consume that particular message. What should we do? Again, we'll have another flow where JMS listener, this is the only way to consume the message, JMS listener, or we have the consume component also, or consume connector also, right? In JMS, what are all the options available? Publish, consume, listener. Okay, there are some other 1 2 things also. Okay, again I think JMS covered for you people. No, JMS active MQ, right? Okay, I'll just show you. Means uh, just give me a moment. Anyway, I'll cover that part also, because even messaging service is also important. In the project we'll be covering that. See, what for the messaging server is used exactly? See, whenever you see like your Prime Video or Netflix, all these will run on these are all streaming services, right? Generally, for streaming services, they use the messaging service like Kafka, ActiveMQ, like this exactly. Kafka is the most widely used service at this point of time, most probably. But for our understanding, exactly what happens is, when you wanted to do the processing in asynchronous manner, it is always suggestible to go for a messaging service. Exactly, we can do in other, we have async block also, right? Async scope. If you do that also, again asynchronous process will start. Okay, for example, like in async scope, you kept the flow reference and then used another flow, it will happen in the asynchronous, it will not wait for the response. Exactly. Okay, that is also available. But here I am telling why I used not that async scope JMS, that you can use easily do it. But if you inculcate some components or some services like messaging services, you will be covered with another requirement, right? That's the reason we'll be doing that. I told you, whenever uh, widely used components or services across the, or the integration requirements I told you, right? Consuming REST services, SOAP services, and even messaging servers. Okay, DB, and the system connectors, right? That way the messaging service is also very important for us. Okay, maybe some project they will use ActiveMQ, some project they will use Kafka, all these kind of things. But as part of our project, what we will try to do, we'll try to use ActiveMQ most probably. Okay, for connecting to the ActiveMQ server, we use JMS connector. Okay, what is JMS connector exactly? For example, add modules, I can go to JMS, Java Messaging Services. Okay, okay, see here, what are all the operations available? Consume, on new message, publish, consume, recover. These are the operations available here. In this example, I used this one, on new message. On new message will come as a source component, inbound component. Exactly. Okay, this on new consume. Here I publish the message to the service or server. Exactly, I want to consume that. There are two ways to consume it. One way is to, with the help of this one, on new message. On new message is a source component. There is another component called consume. You publish the message, consume the message. Publish means what? Just push the message to server. Consume means just consume the message from the server. Or server means server will have queue or topic. From queue or topic will take the message. Exactly. Okay, I'll tell what is queue, what is topic and all at later point of time. We wanted to cover this topic, that is the reason I just wanted to explain about the asynchronous communication. Now, what is the method I wanted to use? I wanted to use the method JMS listener, that is on new message. Okay, on new message component. See, if I go back to studio, if I wanted to do it here, is it happening? No, because it is a source component. Okay, for example, what I will try to do. Okay, whenever you want to listen a message from the source component, then this particular operation should be utilized. Whenever you wanted to consume the message in the processing block, then consume. For example, I delete this. I want to put this consume message into source. Is that possible? Because it is a processing component. Okay, that's the reason you should know that. Okay, see here in this there are so many operations: consume, on new message, publish, consume. Okay, we'll use publish for the pushing the message, consume for consuming the message in the processing block, on new message we'll use again consume the message in the source. Actually, these are the things. Okay, now I'll go back to our example. Okay, you got at least a minimum idea of what is it, right? Exactly. Now see, there is a message in a queue. We published it from the first flow. Now I wanted to listen to that. How do I listen? I use the on new message component. I am listening the message from here. Now this will be passed on to the first processor. Okay, second processor, third processor, fourth processor. What happens? The flow will stop. I told file and forget. Right? We have filed it and we are forgetting about it. And what happened? It is doing its process and it is stopping. Here, stop. Got it? Understood the asynchronous also? Any questions? Okay, if no questions, I'll proceed further. Okay, see, we have seen parent flow, child flow, or calling flow, reference flow, and again synchronous, asynchronous flow, subflow, private flow. Right? No, that's fine. Next. See, I think along with the recording, you are receiving these documents also, right? Please go through the documents. It's in very detail. You people will understand very easily. See, whatever I'm discussing, okay, even we are not deleting that writing part also. Okay, because I just wanted you people to go through that lines also. Maybe sometimes, okay, oh, this is the flow, this is the structure, what we have discussed in the class, you will remember, right? Okay, because of that reason, we don't want to again delete it. Exactly. Okay, this is not the presentation which we are using. This one, yeah, fine. Now, okay, this is the, I think, example we have used for other class actually. Okay, fine. Anything missed for you? No, nothing. Now we'll come to this particular. Why did we have different flow types exactly? There are two reasons I have already mentioned here: reusability and to break a big flow. See, there is a logic of so much from 100 messaging processors are there, including loggers, for example. Now, if you make that in one flow, how does it look? You need to drag. You need to see, for example, like I'll do one thing. I'll go back to Studio. See, for example, listener, logger, requester, choice, okay, flow reference, again HTTP. Sorry. Okay, if I'm adding like this continuously, what is happening? Did you observe? It's becoming very lengthy and it will be very difficult to understand it exactly. See, I'm dragging and dropping the same components, but in the project requirement, right? What happens? You'll have the requirement to do that. These are the first step, second step, third step. Obviously, there will be big flows. That is the reason we always break them into logical modules again. Exactly. Okay, now see. Okay, it's difficult to do it, right? That is the reason we wanted to, for example, this particular one, this particular 5 components are making some meaningful logic. What I will try to do, I will try to wrap that or extract that into a subflow. What happened? Did you see this? Here flow reference has come, and then at least it has been reduced into a smaller one, right? Got it? See, that's what you need to have. The whenever some other developer comes into our project and see that, also it should be, the look and feel also should be nice. Exactly. Okay, whenever there is a possibility of writing a big logic in one flow, we'll try to take, okay, we'll make some meaningful things and then we'll group them and then we'll break it. Exactly. Okay, this is the meaning of it. The second point, what does it mean? Too big, obviously we are breaking that too big flow into a smaller flow. Did you understand? Now I did right, simply the same, that's it. Okay, now reusability I told. What is the meaning of reusability? Anyone can answer? What is the meaning of reusability?
Again and again you want to use that.
Come again. Again and again, yeah, exactly. Okay, fine. See, for example, like I have configuration file, configuration xml1, configuration xml2, and this is one project. Okay, this has one flow, this has one flow. I'm not great at drawing, actually, bear with me. Source, process, error handling. Okay, now my question is, so chalo, we'll put something here. This is the main flow. Okay, we are receiving the request and there are some components here. This is a, maybe I think as a private flow or some, we don't have source. Exactly. Okay, this is a flow reference component, this is a flow reference component. I'll tell you what is the reason we have used flow reference component. Okay, this is main flow. Okay, and I want some logic. Okay, some logic. Okay, that is having around 5 components. Exactly. For example, I have 5 components. Some logic, otherwise we'll keep it as logic 1 for easy reference. Logic 1, I need logic 1 here, I need logic 1 here. See, now without this logic 1 flow, if I wanted to write logic 1, what I will do, I will keep these 5 components here. Okay, I will replace the flow reference component and I will do what, these all 5 components here. This will become 7 component flow. Okay, now here also what I will try to do, I will keep these 5 flows, right? Say 5 components, right? This also will become 7 flow. For example, in this logic 1, tomorrow there is a small change. In how many places you need to change? 2 points. Here also, here also. If I take that logic and keep in one flow, and I use the flow reference component from flow 1. Okay, if I use this, what happens? When there is a change also, I am going to do at one place only, and it is being reused by two flows, right? And why did I write configuration XML1 and configuration XML2? What is the reason? Any reason? Because flow reference component is useful to call a flow from the same configuration XML or from different configuration XML also. Is that clear or confused? I'll show that. Okay. Okay, what we'll try to do, we'll minimize this. I'll go to some example. See, this is one configuration XML file. Okay, this is one configuration XML file. Okay, and I'm using a flow reference component here. If I go here, I have a flow here, child flow. Okay, I can call child flow. I can call the same flow also. I can call the flow in other configuration XML test flow. This flow also. What does it mean? That is the reason I have given the example configuration XML1 and 2. Flow reference can be utilized, okay, for the flows available in the whole project. See, and one more point you have observed, we can call flow reference, we can use flow reference to call the same flow also. Should we do that in real time? No. There is a performance issue. Sometimes people use it. There are certain requirements where you need to call your own flow again, the same flow. It should go in a loop basically. But we will never suggest that. We will get a performance issue. Okay. For almost like recently we have done a project. 42 times it is going into loop properly. 43rd time it is getting into issue. For example, like I wanted to go into 50 times loop. 42 times it will do proper job. 43rd time it will go into problem. We observed that exactly. 43. Now your total requirement is not fulfilled, right? Okay, that is the reason. Never call your same flow from your flow reference. See, parent flow is also there. What is the name of this flow? Parent flow. In the flow reference, we can see the option. Okay, got it right? Maybe for 1 or 2 iterations, that's fine. If you have more number of iterations or more number of loops, we should not use it. Okay, you'll get a performance issue. Fine. That is also one important point which I wanted to tell. Is that clear? This relogic you have modularized into a separate flow and you are using with the help of flow reference component. That is one thing. Okay. Now you have used flow reference component and one more flexibility or advantage. What is it? If you wanted to do a change in the logic one, you have to do at one place only, not two places. Right? That is also a bigger advantage, right? Okay. Always as a developer, see, any developer, he also, what he will do, he will keep the logic here, he will write it and again he will write it, he will do. Normal developer will do that only. As a good developer, the characteristic of a good developer is he will try to think, okay, what is the logic which is reused? We'll try to separate that. Okay, that is the quality of a good developer. We need to keep that in mind exactly. Fine. Now, yeah, the reusability. See, this one, calling same flow is not a best practice. I told you, right? Just now. Exactly. And only one flow can be invoked with the help of flow reference component. Can we call 3-4 flows with the help of flow reference? That is not possible. For flow reference, all flows available under the project are accessible. Not all are available. In other configuration XML files, same configuration XML files, I already told configuration XML file will consist of many flows. And other configuration file will have many flows. See, first configuration file can access the second configuration file flows. Second configuration XML file flows, we can access the first one. Exactly. Okay. It means that a flow reference can be used to access the flows of the entire project. Project means our mule application. Is that clear? Okay, fine. See now, what are the difference between flows Excel? I just represented a table here. Okay, what is that exactly? Public flow, subflow, private flow. Public flow can be called as main flow or flow. Already we know that. Now, whether public flow or main flow will have source? Yes, right? Yes. That's why, yes. It will have processor? Error handling also? Yes. Okay, right. We have written as maybe. Actually, it can have, it cannot have exactly, but yes. What is a subflow? No source, right? Processor? Error handling? No. Private flow? Processor as error handling? Yes. How do you handle errors in subflow? No. Try. You wanted to
Try
do
catch.
exclude. Yeah, try catch. You should use try catch and do that exactly. Okay, fine. Already we discussed. Suddenly I asked, the reason being whether you are able to recollect it or not exactly. Now, see, there are three terminologies which I have used here: added on, carried forward, overwritten. Exactly. Okay. See, this particular part is how is the mule event propagating from parent flow to the child flow, and again it is propagating from child flow to parent flow, right? We are putting the request and we are receiving the response from it, right? Okay, how does it happen exactly? For that reason, I used three terms here: added on, carried forward, overwritten. What is added on? See, added on means already one is available, the other one also will be added. That is added on. Okay, carried forward means it will, the same will be carried forward. One is there, we are passing the same thing exactly. Overwritten means there is one, we will overwrite it. Yesterday we have seen payload is overwritten, right? With the hello world, exactly the same one, overwritten. Okay, these are the three terminologies which will be utilized. Now, see, there may be instances we can call a subflow from a public flow. There are 3 to 4 instances. Public flow will be the parent flow and subflow is a child flow. Now, what is the propagation structure exactly? How does that mule event go and get the response exactly? That is the thing. Now, see here. If you observe, just now we have seen an example of public flow to public flow, right? I have shown one picture right now. Right? Public, this is because this also has source, this also has source. That is the reason this is also public flow. This is also public flow. Calling public flow from a public flow, this scenario. But now we are discussing about a scenario, this one, calling subflow from a public flow. What happens with the help of flow reference component? Right? Got it? The mule event consists of attributes, payload and variables. All are carried forward. In all the instances, all variables, attributes and payload will be, as soon as you send it to flow reference, right, all will be propagated. And in the child flow, for the first component, these three are available. What are all available? Payload, attributes and variables, mule event. Right. Now, see, in the subflow, what are the things you can do? You can override the attributes if you want. You can change with the help of a transform message actually. Okay, transform message, you will have attributes right there or with some other component exactly. Okay, fine. Now, payload can be overwritten. Payload also can be overwritten with the help of set payload or transfer message. Exactly. Okay. Variables. When you create a new variable, that variable also will be added, and it will be available for the parent flow. Got it? Any confusion? Confusion? See, there are two flows, right? This is one flow, flow 1. This is flow 2. And flow reference component I used. This is the parent flow or public flow, parent flow now. And in this case, it is public flow. This is subflow. Now, with the help of flow reference, it is coming the request. The entire, you see, this particular message is entire mule event is carried forward. That mule event is passing through the second flow, right? Yes or no? Now, mule event consists of attributes, payload, and variables. It is telling attributes can be changed or altered with the help of some transfer message. Okay. Please understand the first one. The rest three will be very easier. Payload also can be changed. You keep set payload, we can overwrite it exactly. Okay. And variables, if you create a new variable, that old variable is available, new variable is available, and same will be propagated to the what is flow reference. You will again receive the response, right? Got it? You receive the response. This is the logic. Now, the second situation is calling private flow from a public flow. Okay. First one is public flow will be calling subflow. Second one, public flow is calling private flow. The same thing happens. We'll forward the same event, mule event. But what can be done, what cannot be done, we'll see. Attributes cannot be overwritten. It will be carried forward. Got it? Carried forward means the same. You cannot overwrite. Okay. Payload can be overwritten. Variables will be added. Got it? Right. Next. We are calling subflow from a private flow. This is another situation, right? This is same only. Will we carry forward all the mule event properties exactly. Here attributes can be overwritten, payload can be overwritten, variables will be added exactly. Okay, fine. Next, calling public flow from a public flow. The first situation what we have seen right there. What is that? Again, attributes, payload, and variables will be carried forward. Okay, attributes can be carried forward. We cannot overwrite it exactly. Okay, and payload can be overwritten, variables can be added on. Okay, see this particular thing, if you wanted to really experience it, you have to create the assignment is like you need to create public flow communication, public flow private flow communication, public flow subflow communication, okay, private flow subflow communication. Okay, we have written this. And one more thing, I have a question, even I don't know the answer at this point of time. Okay, you people tell me, can we call some other flow from in a subflow? Even I don't know the answer. You people check and tell me. See, I haven't written a situation calling a public flow from a subflow, right? I haven't written that here. If you see, calling a private flow from a subflow, right? I should write that also, right? But I haven't written. Why? Please check. Please do that and answer me in the next session. Got it? Okay. Any confusion? Any questions?
We can't call because he doesn't have source code.
No, that's not the matter. We can drag and drop. Processing block is there. You can drag and drop flow reference, right? See, I wanted to call a public flow of the same project. I'm not asking about a different project. Okay. See, flow reference is used to call the flows of the one application of the project only. You cannot call flow with the help of flow reference. You cannot call a flow of other project or other application exactly. Okay, that's clear, right? Whenever flow reference is there, it is for the project internally, not for the external thing. For external thing you wanted to consume, maybe you use a connector. For REST service, we use HTTP request. For some other database means database connector. JMS means JMS connector. That way we will use third-party system or the external system exactly, right? For that, connectors will be used. For flow reference, for the internal one. Yeah. Any questions? Yeah. If there are no questions, then we'll meet in the next session exactly. Okay. Next session will be on Friday. Again, the same timings, 8 to 9. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.